What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? This is your man Dre Mack with another episode of the Dre Mack Podcast
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? This is your man Dre Mack with another episode of the Dre Mack Podcast Show, coming to you live from YouTube right now, and I'm kicking it right now with my boy Christian McDonald from Not Your Average Sports Podcast. What's going on with you, boy?
Yeah, what's good, man? Just chilling. Just got back into school. So I attend the University of Missouri Columbia. So we just started class. We're gonna start class tomorrow. They're celebrating MLK Day. I guess we'll get into that pretty soon. But just get it settled in. I get in my dorm room clean, as you can see. So just excited to be here, man. Ready to chop it up with you.
Absolutely. And then if you ever followed this podcast before, he's been on here before. Yeah. So this is not something new, but it's really good to be able to chop it up with Christian and get his thoughts and everything, especially with the week in the last few weeks that we just had. So it's going to be real good to get his perspective on everything that has happened, especially in this week in sports. Of course, we're going to be talking about the NFC and AFC championship game. I'm going to talk to him a little bit about the NBA. We're going to also talk about his thoughts on what happened as far as the Capitol attacks, the terrorist attacks at the Capitol building. We're also going to dive in towards the end and talk a little bit about the inauguration also, just kind of get his thoughts. But first I want to just get his thoughts right now, man, just to get your thoughts on what does Martin Luther King Day mean to you, as a younger guy, younger man that's coming up in this society. What does MLK mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. MLK Day is it's bittersweet for me. As a young black man, of course, I never was able to live while he was living, of course. But I'm a historian. I'm a dork. I love going back and watching documentaries and studying Black history, overall history in general. But with MLK, specifically him and Malcolm X, I really just love them. They have different leadership styles, but they were both effective in different ways. And for Martin Luther King, he was really able to move the needle for Black people as a whole in so many different ways as far as our rights. Not everybody necessarily agrees with how he went about his ways, but there's no denying that he was able to move the needle for our people. So it's a bittersweet moment because his life was cut short. The domestic terrorism, as far as the MAGA supporters, there's always been MAGA supporters. They just now have a name, MAGA. And
right.
Guy Trump. So MAGA supporters, in the 60s, per se, for the sake of the analogy, took his life short, didn't want him to live and move the needle. So it's definitely great to have this day and to celebrate a figure like Martin Luther King, but it's also bittersweet because, he should have lived a lot longer, and he would have, it just would have been nice to have someone like that. It could have been a Gandhi. He didn't even get to grow up, even for United States history. Can you even think about having, a guy like Martin Luther King age and being an aide to like an Obama or aide to a Clinton? He doesn't have to always be an aide to a Black person. He could have been an aide to, our continuous white counterpart. He could have been an aide to one of those people. But, because of, the MAGA supporters of the 60s, he didn't get to do that.
Right, absolutely. And then, my thoughts on it is because a lot of people always treat it, sometimes they get to a point where they kind of treat MLK because he wasn't like Malcolm X, and he was about, bringing people together. He kind of gets lost in the sauce sometimes around the super woke crowd, like, he wanted us to be together. He, this person, he wanted us to be like this, but Martin Luther King, he just wanted us all to be together.
Right.
That's why the FBI deemed him the most dangerous individual in the whole civil rights era. It wasn't Malcolm X, it wasn't Marcus Garvey, it wasn't Stokely Carmichael, or even the Black Panthers. It was Martin Luther King, because if he brought the people together to rise against the things that was going on, especially in our government at that particular time, it would have brought a lot of people together. And that's one thing that J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI and a lot of other people did not want. They did not want the Black Messiah. And technically, Martin Luther King was that Black Messiah, a guy who came in that was literally nonviolent. His stance as far as like just bringing people together and understand Black people need economic equality. Also, let's not get it twisted, because it's like the end of his life, his speeches started changing, saying, Black people need economic equality, we need reparations, we need this. So let's not get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? And then at that time, he already seen what he says. What I would tell anybody to go watch the Mountaintop video. Go watch his last speech. When he was like, I seen the mountaintop, that whole entire speech was fire. Because it lets you know, hey, I've already seen this particular type of, I seen the future. And, I of course, I want little Black girls and little Black boys to be at the same table with little white girls and little white boys, but also let my people be free. And economic freedom is something that we all need. So, shout out to Martin Luther King, shout out to everything that, all the civil rights leaders. We John Lewis was with Martin Luther King. People forget he actually spoke at the March on Washington.
That's research. That's
what I mean.
That's the biggest thing you have to do, is do your own research. Like you just said, I love what you said. Go out and watch the speech that Martin Luther King gave. Don't necessarily rely on a classroom. Don't rely on your college professors. Go out and do your own research. We have a great platform that your show streams on YouTube, right? YouTube has everything to where you can go do your own research. You can hear these people talk. You can read articles. Not every article that you read is trustworthy, but when you're doing your own research, have your own grain of salt. And like I said, that's what I love about what you said. Go watch his speeches. Go see what he actually said. And the biggest thing too, we said early on in your statement was the Super Bowl crowd, calls out Martin Luther King. What Black people have to realize is not every Black person is similar. Because you're not outspoken and you're not, because you have a different way of communicating and getting things done does not make you less Black. Now, me and you, Dre, we love to talk. We're going to talk that talk. We're going to walk it. But because there's a fellow Black person that may not have that same passion or aggression that we have in certain areas does not make them a sellout, right? So the King definitely wasn't a sellout. I mean, he literally put his life on the line for Black people. You know what I'm saying? Like he put his life on the line. I don't know if he necessarily knew he was gonna die, but he had a strong sense that, bro, like it's inevitable. It's inevitable. So Malcolm was a terrific leader. Martin Luther King was a terrific leader. What Black people have to realize is we have to come together and appreciate different styles of leadership. It's not always going to be one way, right? That's what white people have over us mentally. They're able to adjust to different areas of leadership. They're just like, hey, we're gonna come together. We're gonna get to a couple of talking points. We're gonna come together. We're gonna adjust. But with us, if we see one black guy get ahead and we don't necessarily agree on how he's approaching it, we deem negativity towards it. So, like I said, Super Bowl crowd might call out Martin Luther King, but that same crowd they probably do their research like you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And like I said, sometimes you could be so woke that you're sleepwalking and you don't even realize it. Just because he's not a radical, like certain individuals, does not mean he did not leave an impact on this society and on this life. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that I was watching earlier when I was watching Skip and Shannon, and they were actually talking about it, and I felt Shannon's sentiments when he said, "I just wish." That Martin Luther King was alive today, because I would love to hear what he has to say about what's going on today. So,
that's why I say, man, it's bittersweet, because there's a lot of people that we lose. And once you lose them, you lose them. White, Black, Indian, Hispanic, purple, green. It does not matter. Once you lose a figure like that, it hurts the nation. And what my biggest fear is, I know we're going a little bit off topic, but if we're just going to talk, we're going to rap. My biggest fear is it's like we're the Roman Empire, right? The Roman Empire was around for much longer than the United States.
Right.
But if you do research, you realize every great empire has fallen.
Yep.
What happened in the Roman Empire was people started getting power. Caesar started changing different things. The Senate didn't necessarily agree with it. Corrupt politics. And that's why I see the United States now. In our young history, remember, we've been around for a couple hundred years, but that's nothing. The Roman Empire was around for much longer.
Yeah, you're talking about thousands of years.
Yeah, so it's like we have to realize with the corrupt politics, when nobody wanted to come together, but coming together, and really, honestly, borderline civil war. It may not be civil war by combat, but as far as just the way we move around, we're kind of in the midst of a civil war, but it's on eggshells, kind of like the modern day civil war. You know what I'm saying? Right. And without figures like that, you put yourself in that Roman Empire type of level as far as like, if anything else happens, can we be in destruction?
Right. Absolutely. And to, just to follow your sentiments, you're absolutely right. If you don't read or research history, it's just doomed to repeat itself. And one thing that I tell a lot of people is that, everything is cool. Like the way that we're out here, they tell you to go get money and get this and do that. At the same time, it just rock you to sleep. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able, because they're not going to give it to you. You have to go out and read for yourself. You're going to have to go out and research for yourself.
Right.
You're going to have to be able to be an individual that goes out and say, let me go and find this information out for myself.
Right.
But while we're on the midst of talking, and everything, we had a good weekend in sports, and I know that I want to give you a shout out to your podcast.
Yeah.
Your average sports podcast.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that podcast, man. And then we're going to go into what happened this weekend in sports, so we can kind of dive into that a little bit.
Yeah. So a little bit about our podcast, Not Your Average Sports Podcast. So I started it down here at Mizzou with my buddy Riley Stapleton. We just go out and talk about the hottest sports topics, NBA, NFL, baseball, WNBA. We're talking about any and everything. We just started up in like December. So we're getting really good traffic as far as that. We took 2 weeks off. So we had like our first episode on December 21st. Then we had Christmas and we all had busy schedules, but with us being back in school now, we've really been rocking. We go live tomorrow night at 8:00 Central Time. So we just really trying to just build a brand. We got a website that's being created. We'll get that done by the end of this month. So like I said, we're building a brand, all inclusive. We're going to have sports shows for everything. We talk about everything. We're a good, young, lively group. We're going to try to bring you the best material. But really excited. We already doing some really good as far as numbers. We went live, I think last Thursday, we had like over 120 views on Twitter already. We're learning how to get some more traffic on YouTube, our Instagram page. It's gaining a little bit of traffic. So we're just trying to get out there, get a different type of sports on our sports page. We're going to have fun, but we want to inform our audience actual stats, players. We want to cover some players that may not get the same attention because, hey, I'm a big LeBron fan. You see the jacket. I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan.
Oh yeah.
I feel like some pages don't talk about players that are having really good years, like Domantas Sabonis for the Pacers. People may not understand that he's averaging double-double with 6 assists as a big man. Right. Or Gilgeous-Alexander, who's averaging 21 points and 6 assists and like 7 rebounds. So we're trying to cover guys like that, and that's what's going to separate us as a different podcast. We're going to cover everybody. We know a lot. So we're excited, man. But like I said, I'll let you go ahead and talk about this weekend, though.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. So make sure you guys, who's watching or listening to this on Speaker Radio, who's listening to this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. If anybody's watching that, make sure you guys are checking out Not Your Average Sports Podcast. You can be able to get a fresh perspective on what's going on in the world of sports, and especially since we're going to dive into the NFL, because we really recently just had the divisional games. We had divisional games from the AFC and the NFC. So the first game I actually want to talk about, because it'd be easily just to dive into the Chiefs because we're both Kansas City fans, stuff like that. But I actually want to dive into Tampa Bay and New Orleans. What did you think about that? What was your thoughts on that particular game, and what did you see as Bree's potentially last game?
Yeah, it's definitely Drew Brees' last game. I mean, he just he lost it as far as that. It's throwing motion. You see that he's kind of cringy as far as that. He just doesn't have the sauce anymore. I know Shannon Sharp said this, but it's funny how he said that Jameis Winston would give the Saints a better chance to win this game, and I believe it. I think if Jameis Winston would have played that game, it would have gave the Saints a better chance. But the Bucks, they play well. And I think what people have to realize is Tom Brady understood early on, hey, I don't need to throw for 400 yards, 300 yards, or even 275. If I just do not turn the ball over, let Leonard Fournette run the ball, and do not make mistakes, we're going to win this game. And mistakes cost the Saints that game. You had the fumble with Jared Cook. I think it was 20-20, or no, the Saints were up. I think maybe like 20-10.
I want to say it was like 20. No, at that point, it was 2013.
2013.
It was 2013. They were getting ready. It was like they were driving.
Yeah, they were driving.
And Drew threw a perfect ball to him. Started in stride.
Yep.
Didn't see Antoine Winfield coming from his. You know what I'm saying?
That makes no sense.
He beat him. He didn't come from the right side.
He beat him. And that's the IQ level. I was listening to Shannon Sharp this morning. As a tight end, once you beat the corner, you should know you should know where the blind side's coming for that hit. So like I said, the Saints made too many mistakes. Tom Brady knew early on, if I don't turn over the ball, if I let Lakers make plays, we're going to be okay. Mike Evans only had one catch, but one catch he had was a touchdown pass where he boxed out Marshawn Lattimore. That was a big play. Leonard Fournette had a really good game. A former LSU player. He was motivated to play in Louisiana. And also Devin White, the linebacker for the Bucks, he really changed the game. Had like 11 tackles, 10 solo tackles, an interception. I mean, he was flying all over the place, making plays. So the Bucks are red hot, and I'm super excited to see that matchup between Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's all somebody can ask for. I mean, that's a marquee matchup. But to wrap up my point, the Saints could have won the game.
They could have won the game if it wasn't for the turnovers.
Yeah. They made too many mistakes, and you can't make mistakes against Tom Brady. And like I said, if you play the quarterback position, you're a young guy, or even a young guys in the NFL, I pray that Patrick Mahomes is watching that game. Because I think sometimes I love Patrick Mahomes. I think he's the best quarterback in the league, and it's not even close. Might be biased, but I believe it. But Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, these are elite level quarterbacks. But sometimes all three of them, and Russell Wilson, if you want to throw him in there, all four of them sometimes press to make that play, right? They feel like they have to win the game early on. Or if things don't go right in the first half, they're just pressing, and it just puts their team out of the game. And what you saw Brady last night was he never panicked. Down 20-10, I'm not going to force it to Mike Evans. I know Antonio Brown went down in the first half, but even the first half, I'm not going to force it to Antonio Brown. I'm not going to force it to Gronk. I'm going to take the check downs to Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones. I'm going to make the correct play. And I think sometimes the younger quarterbacks we see, because they have a lively arm, because they're up and coming, because, the social media aspect, they sometimes get lost in trying to be, I got to be Superman. You don't got to be Superman. Just don't make mistakes. Because once you make those mistakes, it's hard to come back. For instance, the Saints turned over the ball. Tom Brady scored a touchdown starting at the 41-yard line, 40-yard line, and he scored a touchdown with only 20 yards. So when you give Tom Brady field position like that, you're going to have to pay. So like I said, Dre, man, the Saints made too many mistakes. And it's sad to see because the Saints are a veteran team. Malcolm Jenkins, Jared Cook, Drew Brees, Kamara, Lattimore, their whole team is full of veterans. So it's kind of surprising that happened.
And one thing that I took away from that, because, as a football fan, I've literally watched Drew Brees since Purdue. So to see him look like what Peyton Manning looked like, I'll never forget the Chiefs game. Of course, I'm excited that game because it was when Peyton was in Denver and we benched him. And of course, at that time, like, you know what I'm saying? Because, I hate Denver. But it was still sad to see someone like Peyton Manning look like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Especially when you've seen a guy at an elite level. So when I'm watching the game, it was hard for me to watch, man. It was really hard for me to watch Drew Brees, someone that I literally admire, a guy 6 foot, maybe 5'11 and a half, 6 foot tall. The way he hits the ball, you know, and all of that, and to see him the way he looked, whew, man, I'm not gonna lie, man, that was hard.
Yeah.
That was very hard to watch.
Yeah, it's very hard.
So, you know,
It's hard to see any. It's hard to see any legend fall off.
yeah,
It was hard watching Kobe in his last
yeah,
year for the Lakers. It was hard watching Peyton Manning fall
yeah,
off because we idolize these players. They have all-time great careers. Drew Brees isn't talked about like a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Dan Marino, John Elway. He's not talked about like those guys. But man, you look at his numbers.
yeah. He's still one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live.
70,000 passing yards, like first and second in touchdowns, first and second in anything.
And especially him not being a prototypical NFL quarterback,
yeah,
is amazing.
He inspired New Orleans. I know he came out with very controversial comments early on in the year, but his work in the community in the New Orleans area, it doesn't give him a pass for what he said, but I think he has a good heart.
Right, right.
He did a lot of charitable work in New Orleans. And even Tyrann Mathieu came out today. I don't got the exact quote, but basically he was saying, man, Drew Brees gave kids in New Orleans hope.
Right.
Like Saints gave people hope.
Especially after Hurricane Katrina.
Especially
after all the work he did for New Orleans, you know, after Hurricane Katrina, he gets nothing but respect for me. But again, as a football fan, I remember him at Purdue, you know what I'm saying, going against top quality talent and being one of the top quarterbacks that was talked about. You understand, going into into the NFL draft, and actually remember watching him play from Purdue to New Orleans, and the career.
He started off in San Diego.
Yeah, he got drafted. It was so funny because I still remember when San Diego drafted that kid. Was
it Phillip Rivers?
Nah, not Phillip Rivers. The kid we end up destroying, Ryan Leaf. We ended up destroying that kid. I'd never forget that to the day that I die.
Yeah.
Literally, Kansas City. He came into Kansas City, and Derek Thomas and Dan Williams and all. I mean, they literally broke this dude to pieces.
Yeah.
His first start in Kansas City, and the guy was never right after that. And I remember them saying, we might not, Ryan Leaf might not be the answer. And then here comes, Drew Brees. And again, I watched him, in college, and I was like, maybe he's playing in San Diego. I don't like to, I hate Denver. I can live with San Diego. And for him playing there and then him getting hurt and, him potentially being traded to Miami, and he ended up going to New Orleans and being with Sean Payton. But the rest is history, man. It's awesome. He came back from a horrific, shoulder injury and came back to be literally one of the top quarterbacks of all time. Nothing but respect for me.
Yeah, I agree. Everything you said, boss.
Now, let's talk about another legend with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers going against the LA Rams.
Yeah.
What did you take away from that game? Because I got my own thoughts, but what did you take away from that game?
Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the league. Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the NFL. Devontae Adams is special. I was really looking forward to that matchup between Devontae Adams and Jalen Ramsey. And Devontae Adams, I think he had like 9 receptions for like 63 yards or in a touchdown. So not a monstrous yardage game, but as far as making key plays at the right moments, he was making them. Devontae Adams is a phenomenal route runner. He's filthy. His route tree is the best in the game. The way he gets separation off the line, the little crossover move, like an AI move he put on Jalen Ramsey, he had Jalen Ramsey back in Jacksonville. He sent him back to Jacksonville and then brought him back to LA. So the move he put on Jalen Ramsey was phenomenal. Adams is just a very special dude. The attention that the defense has to put on him, it takes a lot as well, because I've seen Jalen Ramsey travel all over the field with DK Metcalf, right? But for some reason, it was sometimes I would see 31. Well, I don't know the defensive back for the Rams' name, but I saw other defensive backs for the Rams covering Devontae Adams at times. So it's kind of like after Adams had cooked Ramsey, I saw like not necessarily Ramsey was scared, but Ramsey wasn't doing that big rah-rah talk he normally does.
Like, remember when he went against Tyreek?
Right, Tyreek. Yes, and Tyreek got him. So that's my takeaway, biggest takeaway. Devontae Adams is special. The Green Bay Packers defense is really, really good. Jair Alexander, the cornerback for the Packers, he's a top 3 corner. Darnell Savage, the safety from Maryland, he's really good. The defensive line was able to create pressure But Rodgers, man, he's a special dude. And like I said, this is a legacy playoffs for everyone involved. When we talk about 4 quarterbacks left, and it's Mahomes, Brady, Josh Allen, and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the NFL is like money, money, money. They're going to make money at the Super Bowl regardless.
Oh, yeah, but especially if you get Pat Mahomes in between any of those two guys, like Tom Brady, or because Josh Allen may be the flavor of the month, he's still not Pat Mahomes.
He's still not Patrick Mahomes as far as ratings. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady, and I love Josh Allen is a great quarterback. We're not going to disrespect Josh Allen, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes won MVP last year. His first year starting through for 5,000 yards, over 50 touchdowns. You give me Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? Like, Patrick Mahomes is going to go down as one of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time, right? So that Super Bowl matchup will be talked about forever. So NFL is like, man, hey, Patrick Mahomes, you're going to play regardless if you have a concussion or not. If I give Mahomes versus one of them two, I don't even know which one I want. I kind of want to play against Brady. I kind of want to play against Rodgers, but I don't care. Just get Mahomes in there and do it. Whoever gets in there, let's get it.
Well, if you've seen the quote from Andy Reid, he was very optimistic.
Yeah,
very optimistic. And what it sounds like is that basically he kind of got choked out. And choke out restricts your air supply, restricts the air supply to your brain, and makes you have the same type of symptoms as a concussion.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I saw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I believe he's going. Okay. So because we're going to talk about Lamar Jackson. We're going to talk about Lamar Jackson and that Bills Ravens game before we get to the Chiefs game, but. If you notice the way he ran off the field into the locker room and the way that Lamar Jackson, after his concussion, ran and kind of like started to walk to the locker room, you can already see
the difference. That's a great point. Great point.
Now let's talk about that Bills Baltimore game before we get to the Chiefs Browns game, because let me give you my thoughts on Green Bay before I get to that. Okay, so for one. They were playing against the Rams. The Rams were 10-6. I already knew that, for me, that the Jeff Goff was not going to have a good game. He has a bunch of pins in his throwing thumb. I think it was his thumb that he had. But I already knew that this was going to be a disaster, for one, because of Jared Goff. And even when he's healthy, he's iffy. Number two, I already knew that Aaron Donald was not going to be effective with his rib injury, and like you said, we both watched Undisputed, so I'm watching it, and when Shannon started talking about his rib injury, I was like, I already knew Aaron Donald's not going to be effective, because one thing that he utilizes, because he is a 6 foot tall man, is he uses his hands very well, and you have to be able. At that size to be able to, get under the shoulder pads, especially if you're bull rushing. Now, if you're not bull rushing, you're doing a speed, you're doing a speed blitz, towards your quarterback. So you got to be able to take on guards and center and be able to use your hands the way that he uses hands, a little bit like how John Randall uses his hands, a little bit kind of like how Chris Jones uses his hands. Yeah. Even though he's a bigger man, he has very good hand movement.
Very great hand movement.
So once I knew that Aaron Donald was neutralized, I said, there's no way they're going to generate the pass rush that they need to be able to stop Green Bay. So once I seen that, I was like, oh, this is an easy victory. And then Green Bay made it look easy. And I believe Pro Football Focus had the LA Rams is the #1 defense in all of football. And he made them look weak. He made them look like how Pat Mahomes was making the Browns look in that opening drive after everybody said, oh, he's rusty. Well,
right. They love that narrative.
Look like. You know what I mean? So I seen what I seen from Green Bay. They're a totally different team. Tampa Bay is a totally different team. I absolutely cannot wait to watch that game next week. Green Bay, Tampa Bay. It's really the Green Bay revenge game. I'm gonna call it the Hinkle McCrinkleberry game, because after he gave them the Hinkle McCrinkleberry in Tampa Bay, they went downhill after that.
I call it the GOAT game.
Yeah, it is.
It's really like, definitely. There's so many factors on why a team wins, but at the end of the day, we're gonna remember that Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers win. I hate that it's had to be like that, but that's what people remember. Did Rodgers win or did Brady win? So anytime you got and a lot of people's mind a GOAT as far as career production and how he defines winning. Like Tom Brady defines winning. 6 Super Bowls in NFL. Like you just did the Michael Jordan in the NFL. That's crazy. So with 6 Super Bowls, maybe 7 this year, 43 years old, playing at a high level, being just a generational talent, going against, Aaron Rodgers, a lot of people say before they saw Patrick Mahomes as probably the most talented quarterback ever. Before seeing Mahomes,
right.
The ultimate one-man show. I remember when I know they had some good years with the defense, but they had Clay Matthews, and that's pretty much it. Man, Rodgers would put on a backpack, right? Put on one of them Eddie Bauer's backpack and climb up the mountain by himself and then climb back down by himself. He's the ultimate one-man show for the Packers before, as of recently, when they only had like Greg Jennings and stuff like that. Finally, he has a true number one in Devontae Adams, and now it looks easy. But people have to remember, man, Rodgers was carrying that Packers franchise.
I mean, he has I don't want to poo-poo on any of the players that he had because he had Greg Jennings at one time, and he had a really good defense when they won the Super Bowl with B.J. Raji, and I think Al Harris was on that team, Clay Matthews, and a couple other guys. I think Julian Peppers was on that team.
Yep.
And so I don't want to poo-poo on what he has, but as far as like that number one, Jordy Nelson from K-State, shout out to
Jordy Nelson,
was it Jordy Nelson?
I think it was Jordy Nelson. Yes, sir.
Jordy Nelson. Yeah, Jordy Nelson, number 87. Yeah, he was part of that team. Big body receiver. So he had some talent, on the offensive side of the ball. But it was always sometimes you have to break down in defense, like what San Francisco did to him with Colin Kaepernick and a couple other times. Matter of fact, even last year going into the NFC Championship game, and look what San Francisco did to them last year.
Right.
So he's getting his opportunity again. That he's playing a whole lot better. He seems like he's more enthusiastic.
Yeah.
What's going on right now, and he's just playing awesome. And to see, that's what people want to see. Tom Brady, 6 Super Bowl rings, on the verge of, like you said, probably another 10 Super Bowl appearances. That's GOAT status.
He's doing stuff that should only be able to be done in the NBA.
Yeah, that's to go to 10 Super. If he takes Tampa Bay to the Super Bowl, for one, you automatically to go. Because he's going to do something that only other that you're looking at, Brett Favre and Joe Montana. They won their Super Bowl, and then they went to another franchise and got them on the cusp of another Super Bowl. Joe Montana in '93 versus Kansas City versus the Bills in 1993 came up short. I remember watching that game and never wanted to cry before in my life. We literally got beat, I think 31-13 or 30-13, 31-13, got demolished in that game. And then you had Brett Favre going with Minnesota, losing in that playoff game in the NFC Championship. So to have for Tom Brady to be out of the system in New England, to have him in Tampa under a whole totally different system, even though if you noticed, they ran a lot of what Tom Brady was running in New England.
Yeah.
These check downs, a lot of passes. When he did try to throw deep, he was off target, but he was on point when they were running the football, and he was giving his check downs.
Right.
That's how he was able just to stay in the game. That's why I said if you don't have 4 turnovers by Drew Brees, the turnovers that Drew Brees has, or you don't have the 3 interceptions and a fumble, you're looking at a totally different ball game. You're looking at New Orleans moving on. So that is going to get me to my point. When we see this Green Bay Tampa Bay game, even though Tampa Bay played really good defense, they're going to need to step up their game versus Green Bay. Right now, Aaron Rodgers is a monster.
Yeah, they're going to have to put up points. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm most definitely excited. Now, let's talk about our game, Kansas City versus Cleveland. What were some of the biggest takeaways that you took out of that game?
Andy Reid has to be just a little bit more cautious with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying coach scared because we clearly saw with the last play or the last pass that Chad Henne threw on 4th and inches to a little out route to Tyreek Hill. That's a gutsy call and the right call to make. So I love it. So I'm not saying don't don't cut back on your play calling ability. But what I'm saying is, Patrick Mahomes already hobbled. I think he hurt like his toe or his foot early in the game. With him already being maybe like 85% and maybe 80% healthy, let's try to protect him. You have the lead. You're up 10 points. It's 4th and 1 inches. Give it to Williams, or maybe just do like a quarterback sneak. But for him to do like an option, I don't want Mahomes doing that. I just don't. I don't want to see the quarterback of the future doing that. I think last year versus the Broncos, I think Mahomes got hurt a year ago. I think like the first game, or not the first game.
It was the first game in Denver when he went to go do the quarterback sneak. Yeah. That was a freak. But and again,
it was a freak. Yeah, it was a freak injury. But if you remember though, Dre, he was already kind of hobbled up in that game though. It's like the 2 games Mahomes get hurt is he already was kind of like a little bit hobbled up. So I'm not saying, hey, they're both isolated situations. They're both freak injuries. Of course, Andy Reid didn't think he was going to get choked out or
right.
That you can't simulate that. But what I'm saying is, let's just be a little bit more cautious. So that's my take on Mahomes' injury. I think he'll be ready for Buffalo. But as far as just the Chiefs, they're super talented. They're upset because a lot of analysts, like you said earlier, they thought the Chiefs were rusty. That was their storyline. The Chiefs were rusty. Oh, they didn't dominate the Falcons like they should. Are you serious? The 14-1. They've lost. I know they lost it last week, but they basically gifted whoever they played. I don't even care who they play. I don't even care.
Right. It was going to be a gift anyway.
Yeah, they give away a victory. So honestly, I think I read a stat was Mahomes in the last 25 games is like 24-1. Really?
Right.
Really? So Rusty is 24. Man, if Rusty is 24-1, give me the Chiefs every single year. Right. You know what I'm saying? So the Chiefs are so talented. The defense, Snead has the potential to be a lockdown corner. He pops out. He's been popping out since he got back from his injury. Tyrann Mathieu, first team All-Pro. Chris Jones and Frank Clark having good games. Like, the Chiefs defense has improved. The offense is pissed off because they've heard everything on ESPN, NFL. These guys are on Twitter. They watch TVs. They know what the talk is about. Okay. And I just hate the fact that Mahomes is a little hobbled up, because a fully healthy Mahomes going against Josh Allen, who they split second team All-Pro, which is the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen in my life. Mahomes splitting second team All-Pro with Josh Allen. If Mahomes is fully healthy, they're going out, and I think they'd probably beat Buffalo even worse than they would have done Cleveland. But the one caveat, of course, is Mahomes' injury.
So let me ask you about Baker Mayfield. What did you think about Baker Mayfield's game? And do you believe that he is better than Josh Allen, a la, our buddy Skip Bayless?
Hell no. Dre, don't even ask me that question. I know Skip Bayless might believe that, but stop it. Josh Allen, man, he is a guy that, first of all, his arm is phenomenal. He can neutralize weather. That means he can throw in snow, rain, hot, cold, blizzard, no blizzard. Josh Allen's arm works in every type of weather season. That's important playing in Buffalo. Also, too, his scrambling ability is great, and the way he can move the ball down the field is different. If you notice, Baker Mayfield is an elite game manager. But if you notice yesterday, I remember when Jarvis Landry caught a touchdown. It was like he had 5 receptions for like 13 yards of a touchdown. So your number one receiver had 13 yards for 5 receptions for a touchdown midway in the third quarter. Baker Mayfield does not move the ball down the field. First of all, a lot of his completed passes are for play action. I don't credit Baker Mayfield for throwing the ball to someone that's wide open off of what Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt can possibly do. They're putting 7 or 8 dudes in the box. They're daring Baker Mayfield to beat them. You're not pushing the ball down the field. You didn't push the ball down the field when you had Odell Beckham. You have the best offensive line in the league. Yep. You have Conklin. I know Willis went down early in the game, but you have 5 guys ranked, according to Pro Football Focus, in the top 100 at their position. All the linemen were ranked. You have a great offensive line. You have the best backfield with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb is a beast.
Nick Chubb was a beast. Your defense isn't atrocious. They only gave up like 22 points. There's no excuse. Also, think about this. Mahomes went out midway through the third quarter, or maybe towards the end of the third quarter.
They were driving. What made that drive, what kind of, I literally felt like when Spider-Man was knowing he was getting dusted, and he was like, I was talking to my brother. I was like, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark, because they were driving.
They were driving. They were driving.
Yeah.
Mahomes didn't play the final 22 minutes of the game.
So they really beat the brakes. They really could have beat the brakes off of Cleveland.
And they could have beat the brakes off the Cleveland. And for you to have, I can't, Dre, I have to be honest. I don't know how many possessions they had after Mahomes' injury, but let's just say they had 3. I think they at least had 3. You had 3 possessions to make something happen, 3 or 4 at least. You didn't come through. Baker Mayfield is an elite game manager, but he has a slew of receivers. You got Jarvis Landry, you got Hooper, you got Njoku, you got Higgins, you had Odell before he got hurt. You got 2 running backs, you got the best offensive line in the league, and you still wasn't able to beat Chad Henne when it mattered. I don't want to hear about Baker Mayfield. I don't.
Right. And I think that's the biggest argument when people start talking about Baker Mayfield. I'm like, well, they did the same thing with Baker Mayfield that they did with Kirk Cousins when Kevin Stefanski was in Minnesota.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah. So they did the same thing. John. One thing John Dorsey, I give him props at. He locked up Kareem Hunt and made sure that he didn't get out of Cleveland. Locked him up with a 3-year contract. So that was smart on his part. That was, even though you just got Nick Chubb, you got you got Kareem Hunt. So now all we need to do is get a good running game together. So you bring in Stefanski, who ran the same. It's the same offense that they ran in Minnesota with Dalvin Cook, and it made it. Remember, they went to Minnesota went to the playoffs, but where did they go? Ended up going home, because once you shut down that running attack, like I kept telling my brother, I said, dude, if it was me, if I'm playing against Cleveland, 8 men in the box, I'm daring Baker Mayfield to beat me, because I don't believe in Baker Mayfield. Mm-hmm. Now, do I do that with Josh Allen? No, because Josh Allen is used to throwing the football. So what I'm trying to do is neutralize Stephon Diggs. I'm trying to neutralize some wide receivers. I'm blitzing him. Right. I want to see what he looks like out of the pocket. And if you notice in the Baltimore Bills game, which we still need to talk about Lamar Jackson and his injury, but if you look at that Baltimore and Buffalo game, what did Buffalo start to do? And I know it was high winds and stuff like that. They was making that kid uncomfortable. So Josh Allen is uncomfortable. He has to make plays on the run. Yes, he can do it, but it's not like a Patrick Mahomes. That's not his DNA. Rodgers.
He was overthrowing guys quite a bit.
So you got to make sure that you lock him up tight. Now, if it was me, you know what I'm saying? I'm literally making sure that we take away his best wide receiver and make him beat me with the other guys. I'm shutting down the run. I'm making sure that Chris Jones and Clark do him like they did Ryan Tannehill. Now, did they not do that same thing that they're doing to Josh Allen? Did they not do that to Ryan Tannehill last year?
Yeah, they did. They did.
Saying, oh man, he's on the level of Patrick Mahomes, and then you see Patrick Mahomes versus Ryan Tannehill up close, like you said, the disrespect that they have splitting him with all pro with Josh Allen. Josh Allen had a great season. He's not that guy. That guy is on a different level. There's
14-1. He went 14-1. He went 14-1.
Yeah.
You what? It's just disrespectful.
Yeah, and I know Buffalo was the flavor of the month. I understand that, but to have a guy go 14-1, I don't care what he played like against Atlanta, because they're the Super Bowl champs. They got listen to this, people. They got everyone's best game, and they still went with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback 14-1.
Yeah,
that's scary.
Yeah,
if I'm a defensive coordinator playing against the Chiefs, that scares the crap out of me, because these guys, Atlanta gave it the best go, Miami gave it the best go, they played New Orleans, they played 6 playoff teams and beat them on the road.
Right.
I don't care what you say, that's phenomenal.
And like I said, they got the best shot from everybody.
Everyone.
They got the best shot from everyone, and they survived. So I hope Mahomes is healthy. And it's going to be a great matchup. I'm so excited for these matchups. I'm so excited.
So, okay, let's go back to another young quarterback that, I know you mentioned Deshaun Watson. I know you mentioned Pat Mahomes. You got Josh Allen up there, You got Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had probably one of the worst games I've seen, especially this last one. What do you think of the development now of Lamar Jackson, and what do you see as far as his future? What does he need to change? Does he need to do something different? What do you see with that?
Yeah, Lamar, he has to continue to evolve as a passer. That's his biggest thing. But what I like about Lamar is he did win a playoff game, which is huge for him. He got the monkey off his back. I think he has that swagger. I think he has belief. That's the biggest thing. Maintain your confidence and also keep evolving as a passer. But Baltimore has to do a better job of surrounding Lamar Jackson with playmakers. I like Hollywood Brown, but honestly, Hollywood Brown will be the third option on the Chiefs.
He would literally be Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, he'll probably be he'll be a better version of Mecole Hardman, but he'll be behind Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Sammy Watkins in big games might get more reps than Marquise Brown. Honestly, so you're talking about third or fourth option compared to what Mahomes has. Lamar Jackson has Marquise Brown. He has a good tight end, but that's pretty much it. The offensive line is pretty good. You know, J.K. Dobbins started to play well as of late, but Mark Ingram has been riddled with injuries this year. J.K. Dobbins didn't get out to a great start. He finished off really well, but we're only throwing to Hollywood Brown. That's not going to cut it. Hollywood Brown is not a number one receiver in the league. He's not. He's not Antonio Brown, his cousin. He's just not, right? So you have to get some guys some more weapons. I would love to see him with other wide receivers. He needs much more receivers, maybe a trade for Odell. I doubt that happens because they're in the same division. But getting a target, maybe go get Will Fuller. I don't know if Will Fuller's still in Texas. I know he got busted for PEDs. I don't know if he's a free agent, but go out and get some guys that Lamar can pass to. Lamar Jackson is not Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson can put up all pro numbers and historic numbers by himself. Like Watson is a different.
He proved that.
Yeah, he proved that. Lamar Jackson is not Deshaun Watson, but he's still a top 10 quarterback. He's still an elite talent. He still is a quarterback that you can win a Super Bowl with. Like if everything falls in place with a great defense and weapons around him, Lamar Jackson, you don't want to play him. But he's throwing a Hollywood Brown, and that's not enough. You need more weapons. You have to get more weapons. Every great quarterback has weapons. Russell Wilson has DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett had over 100 receptions this year. DK Metcalf, 17 All-Pro. Mahomes, we know how great Mahomes is, but last time I checked, his two targets were both first-team All-Pro. Travis Kelce will go down as the top 3 tight end, if not the greatest tight end ever. Tyreek Hill is unguardable man to man. He's unguardable. He's literally unguardable.
Matter of fact, let's go to Tyreek on that last play, and I wish I had the video to show that. But if you look at that sprint out, and that's something what's funny is that I used to run that same out pattern, that sprint out in high school, but we had to basically we go up and we basically turn the whoever if a linebacker is lined up on me, which I don't know why would they do that to with me, because I was actually fast in high school, but I would always have like a corner on me, so we would start up like literally 3 yards. We will fake inside and go out real quick, but the way that he does it, because he's so shifty, is that he did it. In number 36, whoever that dude, I felt for him because you can't catch that. You cannot catch that dude who's going faster than you sideways. That's like incredible. You go back to you're going back into a back pedal, like you see it, but he's so fast you can't.
You know what's coming. You can't stop it. You know what's coming. You can't stop it. Tyreek Hill is unguardable. He is the most dynamic weapon at the wide receiver position. Like I said, man, you have to support Lamar better with some weapons. You know, it's not cutting it with Hollywood Brown. He's phenomenal. He just needs more help. Josh Allen did not have a great year last year.
We got Cole Beasley.
He picked up Cole Beasley. He picked up Diggs. A lot of these even Aaron Rodgers, he's going to win MVP, right? Who do you have? In my opinion, I think Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the league. Hey, if you don't think Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the league, you definitely think he's top 5. Top 5.
Oh, most definitely.
Lazard, Scanton, he has Scaldez. He has weapons all around. Aaron Jones, a phenomenal running back. I mean, you have to support your great Tom Brady. Really? Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You know,
hey, he knew what he was going to.
Antonio Brown, Gronk.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was going into.
You had to have weapons. Like I said, Dre, my point is we have to better support Lamar. You have to.
One thing that I looked at as far as like that Baltimore thing is I don't want him to get any better because I want to keep going. But I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm gonna
be honest. Hey, be honest.
Homer in me, but on a realistic standpoint, you do have to get him a big body wide receiver target who can be able to run routes, and you've seen that like with Sammy Watkins. When Sammy Watkins is completely healthy, then you have a combination that you can't stop. And that's the same thing that you want in Baltimore. Even though you're running this power running offense, that's not going to work when you get to the playoffs. You're going to have to be able to switch it up. You're going to have to be able to have targets that you could be able to get. You got a great target in Mark Andrews, the tight end. You got a speedster. You do have the speedster and Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. But you need another guy. You need another guy on the outside to have separation. I believe Odell is gone, cut bait after this season. Just kind of like Sammy Watkins, he's in his last year of his season after restructuring his contract. I don't believe he's going to come back to the Chiefs. I think he's either going to retire or they're going to force him into retirement by not resigning just because he's so injury prone. So if you get a guy like Odell who wants to, go to Baltimore, I know he wants to be a Hollywood guy. Maybe he goes to LA, the Rams or something like that. But, you get a guy like Odell, when healthy, you might have a different dynamic. So,
exactly.
So what are your predictions as far as NFC Championship, AFC Championship game? What are your predictions? And what do you look at as far as like, who would you like to see in the Super Bowl?
It's a tough week. This is a pick 'em matchup for both, but I'm going with the favorites. Give me the Chiefs in a very close one against Buffalo, and give me Green Bay over the Bucks. The Packers versus Bucks. That's so hard to pick, but I believe the trio between Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, and Aaron Rodgers. That trio will be enough to counter what the Bucks can do. Also, the Bucks offense hasn't been prolific as far as passing down the field. I think the Packers have enough momentum on the offensive side to put up points. My question is, I don't think Tom Brady can play the dunk off, throwing down to the flat to the running back and expect to be the Packers with that strategy. Also, like you said, the Bucks murked the Packers early on this year. I think winning like 38-3 or 38-6. I mean, just completely obliterated the Packers. So I think the Packers are going to be extra motivated. Also, I think in the Chiefs game, I think motivation will allow them to beat the Bills. Patrick Mahomes knows that he split second-team All-Pro with Josh Allen. Josh Allen doesn't feel any type of way about that. He's happy to be a second-team All-Pro member. But I do think Mahomes realizes that, hey, they think I'm on the same level as Josh Allen. And there's no way in Mahomes' mind he thinks that Josh Allen is in the same stratosphere as himself. So I think with Mahomes being back, we're predicting it, but with Mahomes being back, I think the Chiefs are going to be extra motivated, grateful to get out of a close game with Cleveland. I think they really should have lost based on the circumstances. I think they can beat the Buffalo. And also, I saw Josh Allen last week. He did not look like a second-team All-Pro quarterback. He missed a lot of throws down the field. He was very inaccurate, and he really only scored 10 points. His defense had a 101-yard pick six. So you only put up 10 points against the Ravens. Now, the Ravens' defense is better than the Chiefs, but it's not like light years better than the Chiefs overall. So Josh Allen did not play spectacular. He only put up 10 points in 4 quarters against the Ravens. If you only put up 17 points against the Chiefs, it's not enough. I don't even think 24 points from the Bills will be enough to beat the Chiefs if Mahomes is back.
And the Chiefs defense played a whole lot better than people expected because remember, we were rusty. We needed to play some snaps, all of that. And if you notice, they went to the same game plan that they did against Tennessee.
Right.
Because Tennessee plays similar offense that Cleveland was trying to run. So you shut the running game down. You put 8 men in boxes. You dare that quarterback to beat me, like they dared Tannehill to beat me. And last year, of course, they got off to that slow start and came back. This time, You seen Mahomes come out healthy, even though he was having a little turf problem. But you seen a different attitude from Mahomes. You know what I mean? He was I reference him the way that I reference Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
You've seen in this dude, he was like, this dude he's not playing with y'all.
Yeah, he's not
upset. I was like, when he went to his Instagram and his Twitter to post that video of all the pundits saying that the Chiefs was sucking and they barely this and he pulled a Michael Jordan and said, I took it personally.
Yeah, he was motivated. Oh, yeah, he was motivated. That's why I told Chiefs fans, yes, it's frustrating to see, him not earn the MVP award or for him to split second team all pro. But for the team overall, you have to love it, because now not that Mahomes or the Chiefs need extra motivation to win back-to-back Super Bowls, but man, you are really, really, really lighting the fire up under these dudes. Oh, they're starting off average. Oh, the Cleveland Browns with Baker Mayfield have a shot to beat the Chiefs. Really? Like, that was a narrative. Okay, like, go ahead. Ball game.
That narrative never made sense.
It never made sense.
It never made sense. And one of the reasons why it never made sense, because they basically negated the fact that Chris Jones, Frank Clark, the guys on the Derek Nottie, are run stoppers. That's why they came to Kansas. That's why they went to get Frank Clark. Not really for the sacks. Yes, he is a Pro Bowler. Yes, I think he only had like 6 sacks this year, or 6.5 sacks. They really got him for run support.
Yeah.
Because they knew what happened when they faced New England in 2018 when it was in the AFC Championship game. They know that they got a young gunslinger in Pat Mahomes. So we can neutralize these big runs. They shut down Derrick Henry. Right. Matter of fact, and actually, I believe this year we have not allowed a 100-yard rusher this year. Don't quote me on that, but I don't believe we had one guy who went over 100 yards. They probably have one or two, but we really played really, really, really good on defense. Now you got Honey Badger and you got Daniel Sorensen's play. Even though people don't agree with it, they both launched in the air. Yes, he kind of if you're diving, if you're diving at the ball, your head is going to go first because you're diving.
Yeah,
he threw his shoulder. He tried to avoid his head, but his head and his shoulder end up going to that ball. That's why Daniel Sorensen is not going to be suspended. I don't even believe he's going to be fired.
They already say what was suspended. It was a great play. Dirty Dan, he made a great play. I mean, he made a great play. Like, that was a great play for him to make. Like, I don't even know what else to say, Dre. Like, for him to not give up. Dirty Dan is not the most Daniel Sorensen for the casual. For the casuals, we talk about Daniel Sorensen with not forcing T. Higgins to have the touchback on the goal line. But for him to not give up, to play to the very end, that's why you started. That's where he started. You're not the most talented guy. We know that you're not the best linebacker or whatever hybrid safety linebacker position that you play.
But he plays the hardest.
Plays hard.
He's not the most talented guy on the
not the most talented. Gets cooked pretty much every week, but he plays so hard and he makes plays. It's like they have to have you.
And really, in every game, he gives us a play or two.
A play or two, exactly.
He gives us a player or two. Like, dude.
We
get cooked, but you just made this play that changed the whole game around.
Yeah, he's the white Tyrann Mathieu. Like, he has great instincts. Like, Tyrann Mathieu is a fully bred honey badger, but Dirty Dan is just the badger. You don't got the sauce like Tyrann Mathieu, or the gameplay, or the athleticism, or everything else that goes with Tyrann Mathieu. But man, like, as far as just making those plays, Dre. He makes plays. He makes 1 or 2 plays every single week.
Right.
You start out frustrated with him, and then all of a sudden he makes that play. It's like, thank you.
Right.
You're on the field because of this.
And then mentioning Tyrann Mathieu, when you look at the way that he plays, he reminds me so much. And again, 2 of my favorite college teams of all time is the U and K-State.
Yeah,
I'm going to K-State, but the U is my favorite college football team of all time. He reminds me so much of Ed Reed and Sean Taylor God rest Sean Taylor's soul, but he reminds me more of Ed Reed, because Ed Reed could diagnose a play from, he'll look at you, look at the way the line is set up, from
manipulate you.
Like, I got you, and we'll make a play on you you can't fool them.
Yeah.
And this is why I say that, going to the Bills, the Bills Chiefs game, I'm going to give the advantage to the Chiefs. I believe, for one, I think Pat Mahomes is going to play. He's going to be even more motivated, because okay, Chad Henne had to come win that for me, because I went out, and it was a freak play. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to take anything away from Andy Reid, because Andy Reid ran that same play on the goal line. He ran that same play against San Francisco. He ran that same play all year with Pat Mahomes. People get down when a guy gets injured, but the guy's been running the same play all year long. So I'm not going to say Andy was wrong on that. I'm not going to give nothing. It happens. It's football. Injuries happen. You know what I mean? So I believe, but even more pissed off, Patrick Mahomes is going to play. I believe that defense is going to look and going to take away Stephon Diggs, and he's going to force Josh Allen to beat me. They're going to crack, since he's right-handed. Watch when they're going to force the line to go to his side and crash him every single play. Watch what I tell you. To force him, if he rolls out, they're going to make him roll the opposite direction. Make him roll to his left. He rolls to his left. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not accurate. He's not going to hit those particular type of plays. And you're going to see another Kansas City victory. I'm putting it 35-13. I want that revenge from 93. I want 35-13 final score. And in that Green Bay Tampa Bay game, I got Green Bay. I want to say the score is going to be 35-27.
Yeah.
Green Bay. And we're going to have our
what did Kareem Hunt say? It's personal. And these weeks, these two matchups, is personal. Yeah. Rodgers and Brady are not dummies. They know what's at stake for them.
And they know, and Rodgers going to want that feather in his cap.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, kind of like how the same thing that happened when Pat Mahomes went into New England and probably beat him when he had an opportunity to beat him and he couldn't because he wanted to be offsides.
Yeah, so, right. That would have done wonders for you. It's opportunities like this. You're not guaranteed to always go to the NFC Championship game, the AFC Championship game. So when opportunities like this present itself, people know what's at stake. Also, when you're going against the arguably GOAT, man, it's personal.
Oh, yeah.
It's personal. Like Josh Allen versus Mahomes, it's personal.
It's
two of the biggest arms, swaggy dudes like Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill. Man, this is personal. This week is personal every which way.
And people keep saying, well, Kansas City beat them earlier this year. Oh, that was a different Josh Allen. It didn't look like a different Josh Allen when he played Baltimore.
Yeah, right. So, exactly. That's a great point. That's a great point.
All right, so let's pivot a little bit. We got about another 15 minutes. Let's pivot a little bit to the NBA because I know you've been doing a little NBA coverage. I'm also going to ask you about your Missouri Tigers, since you know what I'm saying. We got a rep too. So we're going to ask you that. But what do you think of as far as the NBA? Who is your surprise player in the NBA? I know you mentioned a couple guys earlier in the broadcast, but who is your surprise guys, your surprise team right now in the NBA, and what did you think about that Nets trade?
Yeah, surprise player, surprise team, and Nets trade. I just fired it off really quickly. My surprise player is Christian Wood, the center for the Rockets. He wasn't a surprise for me. I predicted on our show, like episode 2 or 3, that I said, hey, Christian Wood is going to be a player to watch out for. He had a really great year as far as player efficiency rating, PER, for the Pistons last year. But the Pistons, for some reason, let him walk out their organization. That made no sense. But the Rockets got a really great center / power forward in Christian Wood. He can shoot the 3-ball really well. He can rebound really well. He's young. He's raw. He's getting better game by game. So he's really having a great year. So he's my breakout player for the year. My breakout team for the year, I would have to say probably the Pacers. The Pacers have been really, really good. Malcolm Brogdon is playing at a high level. They just traded away Victor Oladipo for Karis LeVert. Now, Karis LeVert, they just find out he had a tumor in his kidney. So we're just praying for a speedy recovery for that. But if they get Karis LeVert back sometime later on the season, That's going to be great. Pairing him up with Sabonis and Brogdon, Miles Turner. They have a great young cast over there in Indiana. So that's my surprise team that's playing really well in the East. And then the Nets trade, it's a win-win for both teams. I think it's a win for the Rockets. You get 8 first-round draft picks. You're able to get a 1-year rental in Victor Oladipo. Maybe you decide to bring him back. If not, you're still able to get under the cap space. I've read that their owner does not have the money like a Steve Ballmer. He don't have the pockets deep like that. So he wants to get under the cap space. So you get up under the cap space. You have an option with Oladipo. You have 8 first-round draft picks. You get that toxic environment out of your organization. You allow a black coach, our black coach, Steven Silas, to be able to coach his team now. Finally, with James Harden out of the picture, he's able to coach his team, have guys buy in, and really form a identity for their organization, because with everything going on with Harden, it's impossible to coach that. And then for the Nets, it's a risk because if they don't win a championship this year, it's a failure. If they don't win a championship even next year, it's probably might be one of the worst trades ever in the NBA because outside of when the Nets traded for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, years back.
Paul Pierce was already there.
Already done.
They traded for Garnett and then they signed Ray Allen.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about when the Nets traded for. Remember the Nets?
Oh yeah. When they traded for Garnett,
so that probably was the worst.
At the end of their career.
Yeah. And I don't in their careers, but I don't compare this to that trade quite yet because all these guys are in their prime. But if it does not work out and they want to go their separate ways, you gave up 8 first-round draft picks. You gave up Jared Allen. You gave up Karis LeVert. But the potential is if it clicks, you have 3 of the most top 10 skilled players ever. Kyrie Handel was the best ever. He's the best upper under finisher ever. The way he finishes up under the rim, his layups, his finesse, KD, a top 10 talent, a 7-foot guard. You just ruptured your Achilles. Okay, I'm going to come back a year and a half and give people 30. You know what I'm saying? James Harden, he averaged 35, 36 points per game last year. We know what he can do. So you have that skill level 3 players like that with that skill level 1 team. If they have chemistry in the final series against the Lakers, check ball. I'll give me the Lakers in 7, but hey, that's not no guarantee. We just go out there, we hooping. That's a hoop session. Like they gonna be hooping.
And it was of course, if anybody knows, I'm a humongous Celtics fan. And I looked at that and I threw my hands up.
Yeah.
I threw my hands up because, as much as I love Kemba Walker, this is why Kyrie pissed me off the way he acted in Boston.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now he's acting that way with somebody else and I don't care.
And Cleveland, he did it first with LeBron. Remember people blame LeBron first. They said, oh, LeBron, that's his fault.
Right. And then it's coming to find out dude's kind of off. So So as a Boston fan, I hate to see it. Durant, you got Harden, and you got Kyrie Irving. I mean, jeez, man. I mean, I know we got Jaylen Brown, we got Kemba Walker, who just came back last night. We got Jason Tatum, who just was on COVID, who's still out with because I think he contracted COVID.
Yeah,
but they got blasted last night, 105-75 by the Knicks.
Yeah,
I'm not looking very comfortable right now as far as the Boston Celtics. I mean, I'm okay because it's well coached, and Jason Tatum is a star. He's not a superstar yet.
He's not,
but he did hit 2-game winners and 1 over Giannis. Yeah, so he's on that verge of superstardom. But man, he's not James Harden.
Yeah,
he's not Kevin Durant, and he's not Kyrie. Kyrie. He's not Kyrie. So
the Celtics are the team of the future, right? They're in that next generation type of team. Yeah. We're going to see what OKC does with their picks. They have a great piece with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have a slew of first-round draft picks. We're going to see what Houston does with their draft picks. We're going to see, if Giannis stays in Milwaukee.
He signed a max contract.
Even if I'm talking about even past 5 years to where if we can keep that next tier because Giannis is still young. Even Dallas, if Porzingis stays healthy and Doncic, LeBron's going to eventually retire soon. in like 3 or 4 years. He's going to fall off. Father Time's eventually going to catch up with him. KD and them was a little bit older. So that next level, that next 8 years from now, if the Celtics keep Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're and build around them properly and get the right supporting pieces, then the Celtics will be the team of the future. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in a couple of years, in my opinion, will be superstars. Jaylen Brown has gotten better every single year. He's a great defender. He moves well without the ball. He has an offensive bag. Jason Tatum kind of reminds me of a young Carmelo Anthony, but even more unselfish. So the Celtics, hey, you may not win the next 2 or 3 years, but just keep the team intact. Keep your 2-star players happy. Get some young talent. Please get a young big man to complement them. Please get a point guard that can complement them, and prepare for that. Prepare for the next 7 years of contention. Don't go all in and mess them up right now because you're not going to beat LeBron. I'm sorry. The Celtics are a good team, but going against LeBron and AD and that Lakers roster, that's not fair. It's just not fair. So even if you do come out the East, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is not going to beat the Lakers. I'm sorry. But they're so young. They're so young.
And I know that they're developing Taco Falls. I'm not saying Taco Falls is going to be the next great big man, but what I do like about that organization, they are developing their talent. They're not just going to go grab different pieces and just because they're available. Because one of the rumors was that James Harden, was in the play for the Celtics, and I was like, no. Because then you're going to be giving up something for a guy who's 31, and eventually he, in 5 years, like you said, when Jason Tatum's max contract is out, you got a 36-year-old guy still on your roster, or possibly on your roster, who's not named LeBron James.
Yeah.
So no, I don't want that. Continue to have your young core, continue to develop. Look, they did that Celtics team in 2017 or was it 2017? Took LeBron to the brink, and when he was in Cleveland, that last year in Cleveland, and if they wasn't missing every single 3-pointer that they had, they would have beat Cleveland to go on to just basically get beat by Golden State.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, whoever you're feeding to, you're feeding them to the Wolves anyway.
Right. Exactly.
At that particular time. So no, you're absolutely correct, man. I did look at Indiana, of course. I have to look at these teams because I'm a Boston fan, so I got to see who's creeping on my team. You know what I mean? But now, you got the Clippers, you got the Lakers in the West. You also got Denver. You got Phoenix.
Yeah.
Who is not surprise, because what they did in the bubble is the carryover after going to the bubble.
They made the right move by getting Chris Paul.
Yeah, I think they're third right now in the West.
Yeah.
So you got Phoenix as that surprise team. You got in the East, you got Indiana, you got Boston, and you got a couple other teams, but it's really exciting right now, I believe, and I sure hate. I honestly, a lot of people don't want to take the vaccine. I'll probably be the one that will. You know what I mean? But I'm so sick of games being postponed because of people catching COVID, and you don't know how it spreads or whatever. But man, I can't wait to get back to normal. And like you said, the next couple of years, I'm going to see these teams. You know what I'm saying? As the tail end of a lot of these guys go out, and you've seen these young guys, the Caris LeVerts, and all these other guys come in, and there is going to be their time to shine, and I just can't wait. Yeah,
I'm excited. Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
So to wrap this up, I know we're gonna you mentioned the terrorist attack at the Capitol, and then now we have the inauguration.
Yeah.
To kind of wrap this up, what are your thoughts on that, and what would you like to see as far as America going forward, especially on this Martin Luther King Day?
Yeah, man. For ourselves as a Black community, what I want to see for ourselves is that moment should teach us, man, let's come together. Right? I think what's good for young Black men, like for my example, me trying to become a man at 19 years old, it's good for me to have conversations with Dre, my father, my grandparents, my grandfather, even Black women, anybody that's an older generation, listen to them, come together, be willing to listen, be willing to learn, and be willing to support each other. We have to come together as a community because no matter who's on top, whether it's Obama, whether it's Bill Clinton, whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's Mike Pence, whether it's Joe Biden. Now, Black people still have to have the same struggles, the same fights. What we can do better, we have to see is, man, we have to come together. We come together, we support each other, we show love, and the younger generation starts respecting the older generation and starts listening, coming to them on some humble, like, hey, how can I learn from you? Hey, you're a working man or you're a working woman. How can I turn to you and learn because you've made it? Hey, you've been here 10 more years than me. You've had 1,000 more experiences than me in this situation. How can I learn from you? That's phenomenal for us if we can get more Black women and men to have that mentality. But for the nation as a whole, like I said earlier, Dre, this kind of reminds me of the Roman Empire, different empires where, man, the structure of government, whether it's a dictatorship, whether it's democracy, whether it's communism, whatever it is, whatever form of government it is, once you have civil unrest in your nation, that is very, very, very dangerous and it's very hard to overcome. So I know the Republicans don't want to see a Republican president getting impeached. Again, I guess as far as the Senate or whatever, they want to fight against that. And you had like over 140 House Republicans not vote for it. But we have to be very careful because, hey, I'm the type of person I don't care about Democrats or Republicans. I care about my people more than anything. But, Republicans, for their sake, because I don't believe every Republican is a racist. If you tell me that you're a Republican, I don't automatically assume that you're a racist. You know what I'm saying? But Republicans have to now, because it's kind of like Dre, you appreciate this analogy. If you got people beefing so hard, right? If you have two sides that's beefing so hard and it's like that, you gotta have to pick a side. You can't always be neutral in situation. You know what I'm saying? If you got two homies that's ready to fight, it's finna go down. And you gotta almost kind of pick a side to like what's going on. This situation has gotten so real. You gotta be like, okay, you either I'm gonna stand by Trump and ride out with this, or I'm gonna cut this off and understand that, hey, he doesn't represent the whole entire Republican Party. He doesn't represent our platform. Hey, we have our ideals, and that's us. But whatever Trump is trying to promote, that's not us. Because honestly, the Republican Party before Trump, that's not them. The Republican Party hated Putin. They hated Russia. And now all of a sudden they're buddy with Russia. Now they won't condemn Russia interfering with the election. Interfering with the election. Like, that makes no sense.
You're absolutely right on that. As far as we do need to stand together as a people, especially, you're looking at the African American community as far as us as a whole. We do have to be able to come together.
Yeah.
Be able to understand what's going on, the things that we have going on, and to be able to ride out with that and to be better. We do have to be better.
Yeah.
And you got this inauguration coming up. There's more security at this inauguration than ever before and different things like that. Just because the guy that you really believe in did not win. He just didn't win. It's not, okay, they hid ballots. Okay, was it going to be enough ballots? Because he lost by the popular vote by like 4 million votes.
Right.
So you're just saying 4 million votes is just out there floating somewhere that would have pushed him over the edge of certain places. I doubt that.
Right.
So, it's sad to see because, again, just to harp on your sentiments, don't care about Democrats or Republicans. People is what I care about. And if we can be able to come together as people, we ain't got no problems. We could be able to try stuff out. We could be able to understand and learn from each other, but we don't have to sit around and beef over, Democrat, Republicans, and then get mad when people are beefing over streets and his bloods and all of this.
Don't care about us. Politicians don't care about the middle class Black person or the middle class white person. They really just don't care. They get elected. They get their $20,000. They go up there and play patty cake with each other. Man, like, stop it. Like, we're arguing over stuff that's over our head. Yes, they ride in Washington, D.C., but guess what, Dre? I still got a bill saver from Mizzou. I'm an RA. I still got to go take care of the kid, my fellow students on the floor. I still got to go to class. Dre, this stuff happened in Washington, D.C., but guess what? You still got your own thing you got to take care of. Your life doesn't change. So
Right.
people got to realize we get caught up arguing these people. It's sad to see like the Air Force veteran or Army, whatever lady lost her life. Yeah, she was in the wrong, but it's just so sad that you're so upset over something that really does not matter in the grand scheme of things, that you lost your life. Like you lost your life behind Trump, who we know is a crook. Like, really? Like, it's just sad. Like if you ain't part of the 1%, man, forget politics, because they will screw us over regardless. I'm not saying don't pay attention to it. That's just ignorance. What I'm saying is, don't be fooled by the Democrats, the Republicans, or even the independents. The independent. Like, you really, really are screwed regardless. Like, the common man and woman got to just go out and take care of their family. And specifically for the Black community, like I said, Dre, not to beat a dead horse, but man, it got to be more people my age, young women and men, that's willing to listen and receptive to criticism. Phones, like the phones right here, everybody want to be a TikTok star. Everybody want to be the coolest on Snapchat. Everybody want to be the man.
Right.
Everybody want to be Meg Thee Stallion. That's what's gonna hurt people. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the real gangster, the phones and the government. Forget everything else.
Right. Because like I said earlier, they use these particular type of devices just to rock you to sleep. You know, so you don't see what the real aspect of what's going on in the world is, you know. So like you said, you have people that's in office you have rich people debating about poor people's problems and making decisions. Rich people make a decision for poor people. And this is where we're at a society. So again, you know, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, y'all on the clock. You know, in 2 days, y'all on the clock.
Mom is AKA.
Yeah. So y'all on the clock. So my biggest thing is, you don't come in and make immediate changes, we're gonna boot y'all out too. But I'm getting sick, and again, I'm getting sick of playing the politic game and stuff like that. All I want is just change for my people. I want what my people is owed for them, and I just really want change. And if you can't give me that, and we're still playing the same games, then a lot of people who say I don't vote or whatever, they're gonna completely have validation if you don't step up and do what you got to do.
Exactly.
So, all right, man. You know, I appreciate you stepping in.
Yeah, man. It's fun, man. We gotta do this more often. Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna wrap back with you. You know what I'm saying, in a minute. After, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna holler at you on the phone in a minute. But I appreciate you, like I said, you coming through rapping with me. It's been a minute, you know, but most definitely. Hey, matter of fact, while we're here, and I just thought about this, make sure that they got your credentials, how to be able to catch you on social media, you know, your Twitter account, all of that stuff, and for the podcast.
Yeah. So, Not Your Average Sports Podcast. You put that up on YouTube. We have over like 20 subscribers. We just started like late December, so we're gaining really good traffic as far as that. But if you type in Not Your Average Sports Podcast on YouTube, you should be able to find it. Subscribe to it. It's on Twitter. It's Naya Sports Pod. It's Not Your Average Sports Pod, but just short on Twitter. And on Instagram, it's the same thing. I think it's Not Your Average _pod. But if you just put Not Your Average, you have enough followers to be able to find it. And you see at the left side of me, or right side. Hey, I'm not good with directions. That's why I use Google Maps. But you see right there on the name, you'll see if you put that name in on most of our social media platforms, you'll be able to follow. But like I said, man, we'll have it. I'll post it again out on my individual platforms on Facebook and stuff like that. So if you're watching, you can just go on my Facebook and see it. But yeah, man, really excited what we're trying to do. It was fun being on here, Dre. Man, we like I said, we got to do this more often, boss.
Absolutely, man. And again, make sure you guys are checking them out. Make sure you go to that YouTube channel, Not Your Average Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell notification, just so you can make sure every time that a podcast is played, like this live is on YouTube right now. If you got your bell notification on, you can be able to watch this live right now, you know, and wait for the Reebok broadcast to come back up. But make sure you guys are checking them out. Make sure you guys are still checking out the Dre Mac Podcast Show. Not only am I live on YouTube, once I get my restriction off of Facebook, I'll be live back on Facebook again.
They restricted you on Facebook?
They restricted me on Facebook, and,
wow.
and yeah, so I'm on parole on Facebook to the 23rd. So
dang,
you know, it is what it is. I can't go live. I can't comment in groups, but it's just. Yeah, just because I made a post about the hypocrisy of the Capitol versus Black Lives Matter protest, I got restricted. So it is what it is. I'm out for all on the 23rd, so I'm not really tripping. That's coming up. But make sure that you guys are checking me out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Speaker Radio. This podcast is about to go up on those platforms. So if you wasn't able to stick around to the very end, you can most definitely go and listen to the audio podcast. I appreciate Christian coming through, kicking with me. I appreciate all you guys for checking out and hanging out with me.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. I'll talk to you in a minute. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So again, guys, make sure you guys are checking me out. Make sure you guys are going to the Facebook channel, and make sure that you are logging in to I'm sorry, to YouTube. Make sure that you're add me over there. Make sure you hit that bell notification icon to make sure that you can be able to check out your boy. You know what I'm saying? To check out the Dre Mac Podcast Show. I love y'all guys. Peace and shalom to everyone. I am out.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? This is your man Dre Mac with another episode of the Dre Mac Podcast Show.